Hello there, everybody. This is General Snivy, and welcome to my new Let's Play. And it looks like there's no sound. What the deuce? Crap. I hate that sometimes. Okay. We'll start over. Sorry about that. Okay, apparently, for some reason, whenever the Elgato is changing resolutions, the sound temporarily cuts out. So there we go. Sound is back. Let's try this once more, and here we go. There we go. Anywho, hello there, everybody. This is General Snivy, take 2, and welcome to my new Let's Play. Welcome everyone to Let's Play Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, also known as Spyro 2 Gateway to Glimmer over in the United Kingdom for some reason. However, when the title was remade in the Spyro Reignited Trilogy, it adopted the US title of Ripto's Rage in all regions, at least as far as I'm aware. Anywho, this game right here, I did play through this game not that long ago. It was more or less several months back, and I played through the game via the Reignited Trilogy. And you may be wondering, why am I not playing that version here today? Well, the reason for that is quite simple. Since I started the original Spyro trilogy on PlayStation 1, I figured it's more than fitting to continue that trend on the original PlayStation 1 trilogy. This also gives me an opportunity as well to compare and contrast between the original as well as the reignited versions of said game. So, I figured now's a good time as any to play through Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage. And I am playing this on the PlayStation 3 because I do not own a physical copy of the game. However, I do own it digitally via the PlayStation Store. So, since it's stored on my PlayStation 3, this is the only way I can play it, other than through emulation, which is something I'm not going to be doing because reasons. Alright, let's create our save data, and then we will get ready to begin. Let's start a new game on save file number 1, and let us begin the story of Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage. Let's do this. In the world of dragons.
Is this rain ever gonna stop? I've forgotten what the sun looks like. We should go on vacation. Somewhere warm. Somewhere sunny. Dragon Shores. Yeah, I haven't been there since we kicked Nasty Nork's butt. How about it, Sparks? You up for a vacation at the beach? Last one there's a Nork!
Meanwhile, in the world of Avalar, also fun fact that text for Dragon Shores was not in the Reignited Trilogy for some reason.
Is it working, Professor?
Almost. Just a few more adjustments to these orbs and...
Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Bringing a dragon here could just make Ripto angrier.
Calm down, Hunter, and stop fidgeting.
You saw the professor's book. They have claws like this, teeth like this, and they spit fire like this. They sound much more dangerous than Ripto.
That's exactly the point. A dragon is our only chance of stopping Ripto, and you know it.
It's working. It's working. I've got a dragon.
Whoa, rough landing. Hi, which way's the beach? Hey, stop staring. Haven't you guys ever seen a dragon before?
You're a dragon?
You got a problem with that pussycat?
Well, someone forgot to invite me to the party. Are you trying to keep something from me? A dragon? You brought a dragon to Avalar? I hate dragons! Yeah! Ow! Crush! Kill it! Kill it!
Nice one.
Go, you imbecile! You ate my scepter! I'll deal with you later!
Who is that jerk?
That was Ripto, and we have to get rid of him. He's causing all sorts of trouble around here, but I haven't got time to explain. Here, take this magic guide to Avalon. It'll help you begin to understand our worlds. Right now, I have to follow Ripto and see what he's up to. I'll meet you in Summer Forest, okay?
Hey, wait a minute. How do we get ourselves into these messes, pal?
No idea. Also, fun fact, this is technically the first game that features Tom Kenny voicing Spyro. He also voiced them in Spyro 3 and also reprised his role in the Spyro Reignited Trilogy for all 3 games. So that's pretty interesting. Anywho, why is this game exactly called Gateway to Glimmer in other regions except the United States? I have no frickin' clue. Glimmer is technically the first world that we're in right now. And I'm trying to rotate the camera using the right analog stick. That's just basic nature. Fun fact, the camera was much improved in the Reignited Trilogy by means of, you no longer have to use the L2 or R2 buttons to rotate the camera. Instead, that's tied to the analog stick. Plus, in the Reignited Trilogy as well, you remember rolling in Spyro 1? That was also incorporated in all 3 games in the Reignited Trilogy, but not in this game. That was taken out for some weird reason. Why was it added back? Nobody knows. Also, fun fact as well, the map feature is on by default in the Reignited Trilogy, but not here. You have to turn this on yourself via the options menu, which is pretty simple to do. Just go to options after pausing the game. And of course, you also have regular options such as vibration, and you can also adjust the screen positioning via the horizontal or vertical plane. And you can also change the camera mode from either passive or active mode. Passive mode means you control the camera by yourself. However, in active mode, the camera will do its best to stick behind Spyro at all times whenever you're moving. For the Reignited Trilogy, it's recommended to leave the camera on passive mode, but for the original version, I recommend active mode. Funny enough, as soon as we reach the first hub world of the game and get a ways in, the game will tell you more about the camera controls and which version of the camera controls are what they do, how they work. That's and it also gives you an option of changing the camera controls right there in the dialogue box, in the dialogue tree. But again, you can always change the camera at any time by pushing start, go to options, and of course just adjust the camera's mode from there. As far as sound options are concerned, you can turn on voice acting if you want. Funny enough, I think most speedrunners turn off the voice acting because the reason for that is because whenever NPCs are talking to you, the text scrolls very, very slowly, which I will be demonstrating. However, if you turn the voice acting off, all the text will appear like super fast, almost all at once. Let me explain.
I'm
Sure thing, dude. Anywho, as I've clearly demonstrated, the voice acting can take quite a bit of time. Now let me show you a comparison of turning off the voice acting and see how fast this is. Yeah, that is incredibly fast. And again, basically anyone who speedrun this game ever, they turn off the voice acting as soon as the game begins. Just so that way they can get through the dialogue more and more quickly. Anywho, all the controls from Spyro 1 are basically the same, minus the rolling, of course. Of course, you can jump around, charge by holding the square button, breathe fire with the circle button, and just like with Spyro 1, big, tall enemies that aren't wearing armor, they cannot be tackled. However, the small enemies can, and most of the time, the small enemies, you can breathe fire or charge into them and kill them as well. And another thing that's worth noting too is later on in the game we'll be encountering enemies once again who wear body armor. Those enemies cannot be killed via fire, so we have to use other means of defeating them, such as charging into them if they're small. However, if they're large and they too are wearing armor, we have to find another means of taking them out. Speaking of which, taking out enemies is very important in this game. You may be thinking that it's not very important to kill all the enemies, but in actuality it is. Because whenever an enemy is defeated, they release their soul or something? I don't know. Regardless, they release something and they go towards a special power-up station, which is located somewhere within the level. Defeat enough enemies in that power station will become activated. And you need those stations activated in order to do certain tasks. So, let's keep going.
Hi, Spyro. I'm a friend of Alora's, and she's asked me to help you out. Whenever you find me, I'll remember your progress like this. That zap means that if you get into trouble, I'll return you to this place. See you around.
Alright, see you later, Zoe. Anywho, that is Zoe. She acts as the checkpoint system in this game. Unlike the last game where the dragons whom we rescued before, they are not around in this game because, well, we're not in the world of dragons anymore. We're technically in the world of Avalar. Avalar is the name of this world that Spyro is currently in.
We gem cutters are a bit too short to climb these ladders. Looks like you are too. After you learn to climb, come back to Glimmer to see me.
Sure. Sure, buddy. Anyway, back to what I was saying before. Since Avalar is technically a new world that Spyro is in, now he has to figure out how the heck he's going to get to Dragon Shores. Since he was technically intercepted, he now has to help out everyone here in Avalar in order to get to Dragon Shores. So that's fun. There's a reason why he said, "Why do we always get into these messes, pal?" There is definitely a reason. And another thing that's also pretty infamous when it comes to this game is, in the original exclusively, there is a glitch that you can perform, and it's technically possible to get up here without using the ladder. The ladder we can't climb right now for whatever reason. Spyro just simply doesn't know how to climb it. Even though we're rubbing up against the wall, there's just nothing we can do about it. However, if we're clever with our movement... Okay, that's clearly not it. If you perform a certain action... So basically, what I'm trying to do here is... There's a series of buttons you can press where you jump high into the air, charge it and do another jump into the air, and you can use this to get out of bounds and get to places where you're normally not supposed to get to. So that way you don't have to worry about completing certain tasks until later on in the game and just complete them immediately, or do some sequence breaking. How do you do this maneuver exactly is beyond me. I mean, I'm trying to do it and I can't figure it out. Okay. Screw it, I'll just do this the intended way. We won't be able to learn how to climb ladders until much later in the game anyway, so we'll have to just stick with what we know and just continue. So, unfortunately, we're gonna have to do some backtracking.
Must be the dragon everyone is talking about. Well, dragon or not, I'm afraid there is a small fee to open the bridge. It will cost you 100 of your gems to cross.
Oh, great. Say hello to the most infamous character in the Spyro series, Moneybags, everyone's favorite bear. Honestly, I'd rather deal with this asshat than a certain yellow one, if you know what I mean. Anywho, Moneybags will appear throughout many different places throughout Avalar, and basically every time you meet him, you have to pay a quote-unquote small fee to traverse certain obstacles or learn new abilities. So, let's just pay up.
Thank you, Mr. Dragon. Spyro was it. You can now use the bridge whenever you want, free of charge. I hope we meet again, when you have even more gems.
Bite me. Bite me, Moneybags. Ah, man. Oh, Moneybags, why do you have to be such a frickin' jerkwad?
Have a good look around. Hold down the triangle button. Try using triangle to look around this cave.
Thanks, Zoe. Thanks for the most obvious information anyone can figure out on their own. But yes, the triangle button allows you to go into a, more or less a first-person kind of perspective, and so long as you're holding the button down, you can use this to get a good look around of your surroundings and your environment. So, that's pretty handy. And it's also useful for having a good precision. Especially later when we're dealing with items of which Spyro can actually pick up and eat. Well, not really eat, more like hold in his mouth. And when he does that, you can then fire that projectile from your mouth and hit enemies from a great distance. Okay, let's talk to you.
Spyro, thanks for helping us fight off the lizards. Please take this talisman of Glimmer as a sign of our gratitude.
Sure thing, man. So, whenever you complete a level in this game, you are given a talisman. The talismans, you need them.
This magic portal next to me will take you to Summer Forest, one of the homeworlds of Avalar.
Thank you, dude. Anyway, as I was saying, talismans are very important and they are needed in order to progress through the game. However, that's not the only thing that we need in order to progress. We also need a secondary item, which most of them are optional, however, many of them aren't. So, what am I talking about exactly? Those secondary collectibles that we need to pick up and grab are known as orbs. So, in order to get a orb, what you have to do is complete the mundane tasks of which the populace of each level gives you. So, in this instance, since we cannot climb a ladder just yet, we unfortunately cannot fully complete this level 100%. However, there are other things we can do in the meantime instead, so whenever we come back here later, we don't have to spend as much time here as we would otherwise. Regardless, let's go ahead and get started with the first task, which is right over here. By the way, this is a power-up station. Many of them have different power-up types. Most of the time you'll encounter what is known as the Super Flame power-up. However, in this instance, this gives you Super Glide. What Super Glide does, it allows you to fly for a short period of time. And I think this guy here will explain.
Great! The Super Glide power-up is active, and you can restart our gem lamps. Flame all the lamps quickly, and the big gem lamp will light. The power-up will give you enough magic to fly for a short time.
So, whenever you see an NPC near a power-up portal or just see them in general, always try to talk to them in order to get an idea of what's going on and what they want you to do. Sometimes they may even lead you towards secondary tasks that you can do, and if you complete them, you'll get an orb for your trouble. So, let's go and get this started. This should seem simple enough. All we have to do is just fly around using the Super Glide power-up and just light up all these gems. All these gem towers. And of course, crashing and burning is a real thing. Also, if you're not fast enough, the gem towers will become deactivated, and you'll have to reactivate them again.
Thanks for helping me light the lamp, Spyro. A fairy gave me this orb, but I like gems better. You take it instead.
Sure. Thanks, man. And with that, we have our first orb of the game. There are many orbs scattered throughout the world of Avalar, and you can find anywhere between 2 to 3 orbs per level, but I think most of the time it is just 3. And you can also use this guidebook as well to view the progress of every single level that you've been to and completed up to this point, and a percentage as well. There's one more thing that's worth mentioning too, and that is this game has introduced a new mechanic that is not really visible to players unless they're playing the Reignited Trilogy, in which case it is visible. And this is known as skill points. Skill points are, well, special skills that you can perform in the game, and upon completing them, they will give you an extra life. And it also boosts your completionist criteria as well. And that does count towards the 100% category, as far as I'm aware. Who knows? Regardless, I will be going for every single skill point in the game, as well as everything else. So, let's talk to you.
These little lizards have eaten my entire crop of gems. I've tried hitting them with rocks, but they're too fast for me. You can try using one of my rocks. If you have any questions, just ask me.
Sure thing. Okay, so, here's the first instance of an item of which we can use as a projectile. The best way of using these projectile-like things is just to go into first-person mode, hold down the triangle button, and fire. Right in the head.
Nice shooting. Follow me to the next lizard.
Okay. Dang it, dude. By the way, Spyro has a new sort of glide ability that I haven't gone over yet. Starting in Spyro 2 and also in Spyro 3, Spyro has the ability to hover. You can do this by simply pushing the triangle button in the middle of a glide. Doing this will allow you to get some extra distance needed to fully complete a glide, and trust me, you're going to be using this a lot.
You can spit pretty far, Spyro. See if you can spit all the way to that lizard.
Sure. That should be easy enough. Again, just hold down triangle button, stay still, aim, and fire. Just keep in mind, these rocks that this guy is giving us, these are projectile weapons. So, despite the fact that we have an aiming cursor and an aiming reticle, that doesn't mean that they'll go straight forward. Instead, you need to keep in mind that there's also distance. Physics are a thing in this game, though they can be broken if you know how to break them properly. I'm just saying, it's very well possible that you can truly break this game in many ways, more ways than one. And one of those things I've mentioned earlier with being able to do a quote-unquote double jump by means of jumping into the air, charging. I still can't do it. I just don't know how. Again, I can always look up how to do it and how speedrunners do the technique. But obviously I can't do that right now. Okay, where did that... Oh. I think he just went on this way. By the way, the fastest way of getting through any level in the entire game and any game in the original trilogy is by means of charging. Charging is the fastest way. There we are. There's one more thing worth mentioning too, and that is, when it comes to this game and its soundtrack, it has a looping problem. What do I mean by that? Well, it does not know how to loop its tracks. So, there are many instances where the game will go completely silent. It'll go silent just for a few moments. It doesn't mean that the sound is cut out, it's just how can I put this? The sound temporarily, no, not the sound, but the music temporarily shuts off and then starts to loop back up again. And of course, I lost the other guy who was throwing rocks at lizards and crap. Oh, there he is.
To hit that lizard up high, you'll have to aim. Press and hold the triangle button to aim, then press circle to spin.
Alright. I've been doing that the entire time, but thank you. Dang it. Almost as if he anticipated my moves. Gotcha. Thankfully, this guy can give you unlimited rocks, so that's pretty nice. Honestly, it's not a bad idea to just go about this and just complete this task, or just complete as much as you can within your first trip. There we are. I feel like the controls, when it comes to the Reignited Trilogy, when it comes to aiming, the controls are more sensitive in that version as opposed to here where it's a lot slower and more precise. I'm not 100% sure if that's true or not. It has been a little while since I've last played Spyro 2 via the Reignited Trilogy, but again, that's just speaking from past experiences. Alright, one lizard left. Alright, where's the little bugger? Another thing worth noting too is when you're aiming, you need to keep in mind that your positioning is also incredibly important.
My crop of gems from the lizards. Here, take this orb. Some girl with wings dropped it here yesterday.
That's funny. I wonder how Zoe dropped the orb in the first place. Alright, well that task is complete, and that's almost everything that we can do here. There's one more thing that's worth noting. In this version of the game, if you hold down a certain button combination, I don't know which one it is. I feel like it's, okay, it's all four of the four shoulder buttons. So L1, R1, R1, L1, L2, and R2. Hold down all four buttons and you'll be able to use sparks to point you to any of the gems that are located in the level. This ability was first introduced in this game and was also carried over into the Reignited Trilogy, so that is pretty neat. When it comes to this game, you have this ability right from the start, but in Spyro 3, for whatever reason, this is just an exclusive unlockable ability, minus the Reignited Trilogy, of course. When it comes to Reignited, this ability, of course, is unlocked once again from the very start. So, that's awesome. But in the original Spyro 3, that is an unlockable ability for some reason. Even though you could do it in Spyro 2 right from the get-go. Now then, there is one more thing you may be wondering. Why don't we just use this Super Glide power-up to light up these, gems here? Well, the thing is, the Super Glide is only effective up to a certain range. So, what that means is, once you exceed that range, the power-up just completely vanishes. So, that is something you need to keep in mind. So we can't exactly, quote-unquote, sequence break, really, on this. Not unless we do, like, one of those, charge jumps, which I don't know how to do to save my ass. Seriously, I don't know how to do that ability. Dang it. Well, like I said, we'll be coming back here much later on once we learn how to climb ladders, so let's not worry about it now and just go. Onward to Summer Forest.
Oh no. Oh, hello. We didn't get a chance to introduce ourselves before. My name is Alora.
Hi, I'm Spyro. What are you, some kind of goat?
I'm a fawn, you dork.
Oh, sorry.
Did you meet the gym cutters in Glimmer?
Yeah, they gave me a souvenir too. They called it a talisman.
They gave you a talisman?
What? Is it special? I just stuck it in the guidebook you gave me.
There are 14 talismans in Avalar, and they are all magical. If you can collect enough of them, they can be used to defeat Ripto. Hunter, where have you been?
I, got a little lost.
Spyro's going to help us collect the talismans.
I am?
Yes.
Spyro, look. There's no way you can get to Dragon Shores right now. Ripto and his monsters have taken over the castle here in the Summer Forest. You're going to have to go to Avalar's worlds and convince the inhabitants to give you their talisman. You can keep them in your guidebook.
Hey, I could do that. Why doesn't the dragon just torch Ripto?
Hunter, you can't even keep track of your running shoes. How can we trust you with 14 talisman? If you come across any orbs, they're important too, but I'll tell you about them later.
Okay, no problem. I'll collect a few talismans, give Ripto the old hot foot, and be in Dragon Shores by lunchtime.
Sounds good to me. And that sounds like the most perfect plan ever. And whenever you complete a level, the game automatically saves your progress onto your memory card. So, remember memory cards? Those were a thing during back in the day, but nowadays autosave is basically a necessity and is a basic part of life. And it's just a part of everyday life. So, that's pretty neat. Also, say hello to a new kind of butterfly. I'm not 100% sure what kind of butterfly that is, but those butterflies are really special. As you take damage, Sparks changes color, and his color indicates the amount of health that you have. The lower the health, the less hits you can take before you end up kicking the bucket. So, Sparks starts off with the golden yellow. Then, if you take one hit, he changes to blue. One more, he changes to green. After one more hit, he disappears completely. And if you get hit one more time, then you die. You can restore your health by means of having Sparks eat butterflies by burning small animals such as sheep. And also finding special butterflies in bottles. Those butterflies, regardless of how much health you have left, will fully heal Sparks and give you an extra life. But regular butterflies, they only heal 1 hit point of health. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, let's continue.
Spyro, this is the homeworld called Summer Forest. There are portals to many of the Avalar worlds around here. Unfortunately, Ripto has taken over the castle, and we need your help. Start by retrieving the talismans from
Sure, no problem. So, as Alora was saying, Summer Forest is a level within itself, but it's also known as a hub world. Hub worlds in this game lead to other levels within that particular home world. There are 3 home worlds as far as I'm aware in this game. Yes, there are 3 home worlds. There's Summer Forest, one of them relates to autumn, another with winter. I don't remember the names of the others at this very moment in time, unfortunately. But regardless, there are 3 home worlds in all. Each of them contain quite a substantial number of levels, though the levels vary from location to location. Here, I believe they're going to be listed here in the guidebook too. Let's see here. There's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Looks like there are 6 levels here. So, excluding Summer Forest too, that is level number 7.
Spyro, Ripto smashed this bridge, so I guess you'll have to glide across it. Press X to jump, then press X again while you're still in the air to glide.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for the oh-so-useful, wise explanation of how to play the dang game. Well, speaking of characters such as Alora and also Hunter, those two, along with basically everyone else, got a really big redesign. And a lot of people seem conflicted about the feelings of certain redesigns. Overall, the redesigns of the characters were really good. Hunter, not so much. But still, he still does look pretty good for his redesign. I still like his original model better. But everyone else, yeah, they're an improvement. Including Alora. Alora looks a lot cuter in Reignited as opposed to here. Which does make sense, because, hello, we're talking about the PS1 here. The PS1 is not exactly known for beauty, if you know what I mean. Just saying. Even Moneybags got a redesign, and even the main villains too. So, awesome. Basically, every single redesign, other than Hunter, I like them all. Even Ripto. He looks a lot more menacing in the Reignited Trilogy, as opposed to here, he just looks like one of those angry trolls that you find on the internet. And one of those trolls who live in their mother's basement.
Hi, Spyro. You look like you're pretty agile. Let's try putting it to a test. See if you can get up this first step. Press X and hold it down to get more hang time.
Sure. What's the point of all this?
Okay, not bad. Now, to make this next jump, you'll have to glide. Press X to jump. Then press X again at the top of your jump to get the maximum glide distance.
Sure. Okay, that seems like a simple enough task anyone can complete with their eyes closed.
Nice job. Now try to do a hover. Press X to jump. Then press X again to glide. Then when you reach the end of your glide, press triangle to hover. Hovering will give you extra height and distance.
Very true. And I was going over this too when we were in Glimmer. So, this is where the hover mechanic is introduced, technically. And like I mentioned, you're going to be using it a lot. Get used to it.
Very good. Now for the hardest leap of all. You'll have to give this one everything you've got. Get a walking start, jump, glide, and hover just before you get to the edge of the platform. Don't forget to press forward on the D-pad or analog stick when you hover.
Sure.
Wow, you're a pretty good athlete. If I hadn't lost my running shoes, I'd take you on for real. For now, here's an orb for your collection.
Okay, question. Why do you have this, number one? Number two, why didn't you give this to Alora? Number three, why didn't you just give me the goddamn orb in the first place? I get the fact that you're trying to test me and my abilities and see if I have the right to earn it. But even so, though, we're talking about the fate of the world here. Why do you have a world-saving plot device in your possession and have to force me to do a mundane task in order to earn the right to have such an item? I don't get it. It just doesn't make any frickin' sense to me. Okay. Also, when it comes to this game, this is the first game in the series where Spyro is able to swim. Unlike the last game where he could not swim at all.
Sorry, Spyro. I'd love to teach you how to swim underwater, but not as much as I'd love to take your treasure.
Bite me, moneybags. Anyway, in order to learn how to swim underwater from that asshat, what we have to do is gather 500 gems, which, yeah, that's a pretty steep price gouging technique. I wonder if he's secretly the CEO of Activision. He's also the same asshole who fired 800 frickin' employees and laid off 80%, or not 80, more like 8% of their entire workforce despite record-breaking sales within the past year due to microtransactions. I'm not kidding, look it up. And they even got a huge bonus, too. There's even, speaking of which, there's this really funny radio commercial that I hear all the time about EasternMaineHelpWanted.com. And it's a local job searching site, and for their skit, they have like several skits of the world's worst boss called Dave. One of them is when Dave is in the middle of a conference or something, and he mentions he's got a freaking huge bonus, and also tells the employee who parked in the spot again that he expired, and he also had his car towed. And it also mentions that, oh, sorry, I have nothing left for you. Gotta go. Click. It's more hilarious than I'm making it out to be. No, seriously. I just love those funny commercials that I hear on the radio as I'm running errands and stuff. It's pretty damn funny. And it perfectly describes Activision. Activision. They'll hold your nostalgia hostage and force you to pay out the ass, and you only get a privilege of playing the game for like 2 minutes out of a supply drop in Call of Duty. I'm awful. Alright. Let's see. Where should we go to first?
Sparks, the dragonfly following you around is your health indicator, Spyro. The brighter he is, the more hit points you have.
Thank you, Zoe. I've already explained that. Looks like there are 2 levels here, Idle Springs and Colossus. Let's go here first. I have a feeling that the Idle Springs we won't be able to fully complete either until we learn how to dive underwater. What? What the hell just happened? Let's find out.
Yeti has been rampaging around our home, but we must trap him by shutting all the doors. If you talk to the other brothers, they will open the gates and guide you to him.
Okay, that sounds a perfectly reasonable thing to do. No, really. A rampaging animal, and you shut every single door, trapping your brothers inside. Also, burn. There is one other thing worth noting too. So long as you keep Sparks alive, he'll be able to grab any nearby gems. Fun fact, in the Reignited Trilogy, for whatever reason, the range of which Sparks can pick up the gems was nerfed by several inches. And another big nerf too is when you're in the air, Sparks will refuse to grab gems off the ground. Why? No idea. Kind of a weird design decision, I guess, just to make things more inconvenient and harder so players won't sequence break as much. Your guess is as good as mine at this point.
By concentrating, I should be able to open this door for you.
Thanks, dude. Let's go. Now then, other than the character redesigns of basically everyone in the entire Spyro Reignited Trilogy, some of the voice actors were able to come back and reprise their roles. Those were Spyro as well as the Professor, which is voiced by the same person, Tom Kenny. But there are some other people who were not able to reprise their roles in this game. One of those characters being Hunter, who was not able to reprise his role for reasons unknown.
Who needs a key when you know how to chant like this?
How about a supply drop for only $2.99? Nah, I'm kidding. I wouldn't stoop that low. I'm not Activision.
Enemies like those yaks are too big to be charged. Your flame attack should easily take care of large enemies.
Thank you, Zoe. I was explaining this earlier, but regardless. At this point, I believe this is like one of the first levels where you will be encountering larger enemies. Actually, no, that's a lie.
Each time you defeat an enemy, it will release a spirit particle. The spirit particles will activate the power-up in that world. If a power-up is inactive, you need to defeat more enemies.
Okay, thanks, Zoe. So, those things that we've been collecting after defeating enemies are known as spirit particles. Okay, so that makes sense. Almost like we're playing Soul Eater, the video game. Anyone remember that anime? Also, it's great. Totally watch it. Would recommend. 10 out of 10. No, seriously, that anime is awesome. But regardless, what were they called again? Damn it! It already slipped my mind. I just said it too. Dang it! I hate that. Okay, let's move on to the next big thing, shall we?
Hey, look what I can do.
Okay. Better jump on here while he's chanting. Otherwise, the platform will take quite a bit of time to come back down. Thankfully, when you talk to those people, whenever they're chanting, they'll just keep doing it forever and ever. Almost as if they're slaves to their own nature. Kind of sad.
His advice, you will glide farthest if you press the X button at the very top of your jump.
Thanks, Zoe. I do remember Hunter's advice very, very well. Okay, let's move on now, shall we? Oh, okay. Hi. Hi there, goat. Don't be the goat today. Seriously. Don't be that guy. Hello. So, despite the appearance of the level's opening, all you really have to do is just make it to the end of the level, and plot armor activates.
Even though I'm a vegetarian, I think you should kill that Yeti. He's pretty tough, though. In fact, I'm not so sure you're up to it.
Okay, let's go and give it a shot. Let's go, Mr. Yeti. Oh. Okay.
I thought the Yeti was tougher than that. I guess he was all bark. Anyway, I was just guarding our sacred talisman to make sure the Yeti didn't eat it.
That does make sense. Because if he would have ate the talisman, it probably would have been destroyed when he unfortunately met its end. Anyway, level is technically done, but we're not finished yet. We still have several things that we need to do, i.e. get the remaining gems and also the orbs here. And looking at our guidebook here, at this point we're 44% complete with the level. However, we still have some work to do. Let's see, there's 3 orbs here and 400 gems. The guidebook is what it is. Your guide. It's your guide. You need it in order to be able to fully understand everything that you need to collect in order to complete the level completely. I know that sounded kind of redundant to say, but I'm just throwing it out there. Also, don't be afraid to use Spark's gem indicator ability. Use it to its fullest, so that way you're not running around like a headless chicken searching for gems. What the devil is that?
Oh, thank goodness you scared that evil spirit away. But now it will hide in the statues. If you were to flame all 10 statues, I'm sure you would chase it away for good.
Sounds good to me. Alright, so now begins another one of these arbitrary tasks. Handled by the professor this time. So what we have to do here is just simply search around the level and search for all 10 statues. The level itself, thankfully, is not very big. So finding all the statues should be a pretty easy enough task. Just keep in mind there are some areas of which when exploring, you need to remember, hey, there's a statue over here. So, yeah, backtracking is definitely a major thing and is a major factor within this game. Thankfully, though, the levels themselves are not the largest things in the world. It's not like an open world RPG. Nothing like Xenoblade Chronicles big. I'm just saying. Still pretty big. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. Regardless. Also, that's kind of funny how those guys just stand there and take the hits like frickin' champions. As if nothing ever happened. Almost the same sort of anomaly as in Sonic Unleashed, where if you run into a human pedestrian when trying to go through a level, you instead... what am I trying to say? As soon as you run into a pedestrian, they act like a brick wall. Why isn't there an animated skit on in the Sonic world where that even happens? Like, running into a brick wall and no one has any sort of reaction whatsoever. Seriously, why is that not a thing? I don't get it. Whatever. It's still pretty funny nonetheless. By the way, identifying the statues themselves are very easy to do. The statues themselves are their normal yellow counterparts. However, since the evil spirit is running around at the speed of sound, they turn green for some reason. Why green of all colors? Who knows? And they also look a lot more menacing too. Strangely, it's almost as if these statues are alive. How exactly? No idea. Regardless, it seems as though they move oh so very naturally. Hello, what do we have in here? Hidden statue and also more and more gems. And just like with Spyro 1, there are certain containers that you can only charge at, and some of them you can only hit with a flame. I think. Then again, I know there are ones where you have to charge into them in order to get the contents of that item. So, that is something you need to keep in mind.
Well done, Spyro. You've scared the evil spirit away. Why don't you take this? I borrowed it from the temple. They don't need it.
I love how he said borrowed it. They You don't need it. It's not like it's essential to life or anything.
I'm glad that evil spirit has gone. It was giving me the heebie-jeebies, I can tell you.
It's not that scary. I've seen scarier. You want scary? Watch Resident Evil. Or play Resident Evil. Just saying. And also laugh your ass off as you're having close encounters and being turned into a Jill sandwich. Just saying, it's that freaking funny. Alright. This is also the first game in the series to introduce ice skating physics. And also, I was going to say something about this, but what I originally thought was a bug in Reignited Trilogy, it's also by design here in the original. So, what I was going to say is, in Reignited, Spyro constantly skates forward on ice. However, in this game, you can actually stop yourself. No, you just continue skating. So, it is intentional. Who knew? I guess it's been that long since I last played the original Ripto's Rage.
Ah, Spyro, welcome. We have found that hockey is a peaceful and calming sport. Would you like to join in a match against our goalkeeper?
A calm and relaxing sport. Those words cannot be used with hockey. It is one of the most violent, brutal sports out there. Almost as violent as, say, boxing. Just saying. Most people watch hockey for the fights, not so much the game itself. But yeah, our task here, let's just play a little game of hockey.
You have 2 minutes to score 5 goals in the red goal.
Sure thing. That sounds like a simple enough task. Let's do this. Alrighty, let us begin. Strangely, whenever you're playing this little task here, you don't have to worry about the enemy scoring goals on their own here. All you have to do is just grab the puck and shoot it at the goalkeeper and get all 5 points, and you'll win the challenge. That's simple. So, best way of going about this is try to stick to one part of the ice and grab the puck, then start darting towards the other corner of the red goal, and bada bing, bada boom, you should have your 5 points in no time. Or just wait until you get to point blank range, and then fire. If you run into the goalkeeper, you'll spit out the puck that's in your mouth, so that is something to keep in mind. Thankfully, this first task is not very difficult to do. Just, again, do the same thing 5 times. That's it. That's all you need to do. Although getting the puck itself can be a bit of a challenge within itself. Really, that's honestly the hardest part. Getting the puck. As soon as the next round starts. You never know where the puck is going to go when you first start the round. Anyway, let's just score this last goal just like this. You suck!
Well done. Have this.
Hello, Orb. Orb number 2.
Would you like to try a game of one-on-one?
Sure, sounds fun.
The first to score 5 goals wins. You are shooting at the red goal. Off you go.
Sure thing. Okay, so most of the time when you're orb hunting, you may find one task actually is divided into 2 halves. After you complete the first half, you'll get an orb, and if you do the challenge again and do a harder version of it, you'll get another orb as a result. So be sure to do both tasks while you're there. Hello there. You look kind of ugly. I don't like your face. Okay, so if the opposing team has the puck, all you have to do is just burn them in the butt and stun them temporarily. So that way, you can grab the puck yourself and score your goal. Also, is it me, or does it seem like the range of Spyro's flame... Dang it, dude! You suck! I wouldn't be surprised if he... Damn it! I missed the puck. I have the worst goalkeeper in the history of man. Don't at me. That was easy. Thankfully, when you're playing one-on-one, you don't have to worry about any sort of time limits. So, that's nice. Oh, god damn it. Again! You suck! Do not rely on your goalkeeper, ever. You just have to get the puck as soon as, Oh, come on. Are you serious? Wow. I can't believe I'm gonna lose. Just because I couldn't get the puck as soon as, it was deflected. Okay, really? Why didn't you pick it up? Why? Come on! Jesus! I'm doing laps around the damn puck and I just can't grab the bastard. Is it because I'm flaming? That must be it. It's because I'm trying to burn the guy.
Tough for you, eh?
Screw you. Okay. Let's try this again. Thankfully, you can redo these challenges as many times as you want. So, if you fail once, it's not that big of a deal, but again, if you're in the speedrunning environment, it's a very big time loss. But I'm not a speedrunner of this game. No way. Heck, I think when it comes to speedrunning this game, most people would speedrun the original versus the Reignited Trilogy, just simply due to the fact that you can sequence break a hell of a lot more easily. Okay, I don't have a clear shot. Really? Gimme, 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 gimme! Wow, this is definitely a lot tougher than I remember it being in the Reignited Trilogy. Strangely, I think it's easier in Reignited as opposed to here. I can't quite pin down why. Perhaps it's because these guys don't move nearly as fast as they do here in the original. Sit down, son. Oh my god. Again, with the puck. Why does it move so damn slow? Just seems like it moves way too slow, and when you're trying to pick it up yourself in order to make a shot, it's one of the most difficult things in the world. Dude, why don't you pass that to me? Again, that goalkeeper, I swear to God, does not work for you. He only works for the opposing team. That's why it seems like you can't really rely on him at all. And he does not pass the puck to you, only tries to shoot it from way downtown. And I know that is a basketball term, but even so, I don't care. I stick by my statement. Okay, at least this is going a bit better than last time for sure. I guess you just gotta take it slow somewhat. And also pray that the puck... Get out of my way. Dang it. He's gonna score. Yoink and done. Nice.
Well done. Have this. If you stare at it long enough, you might not see anything.
Kind of like the sun. Alright, well, we're done with orb hunting, so that's awesome.
You can keep practicing if you want, but you have to be off the ice by 6.
How about bite me? I don't want to get off the ice by 6. I want to play on the ice all day long. I'm kidding. But really, you don't have to talk to those guys again after you complete their tasks. In fact, most speedrunners don't even bother. Okay, well, here's something a bit of interest. You'll see those weird containers over there. Well, those cannot be charged at, nor can they be struck by a flame. The reason is because they are encased in a metal plate. Metal plating. Crud. Anyway, in order to deal with those, what you have to do is find a rocket within the level. And usually they're within close proximity of the thing. So all you have to do is just simply find a rocket, burn it, and bada bing, bada boom. Here's our reward. Okay. And there we go. Level complete. And by the way, the fastest way of exiting out of a level is just simply pushing start and hit exit level. You just simply exit the level without having the need to go through a portal. But since I'm already here, might as well go ahead and go through. Ooh, damn. Well, he's dead. Damn, dude. Talk about brutal. What a way to go. But hey, since the level is now fully complete, now we can finally grab ourselves a new ability from Mr. Moneybags, aka Activision.
Hello there, Spyro. Would you like to learn to swim underwater? I suppose I could teach you for a small fee?
Small fee my ass. Here.
Great. Okay, when you jump in the water, you can use the D-pad to move around the surface. Use square to dive underwater. When you are underwater, use X to paddle and square to charge.
Seems like a simple enough task. So with that, we can now finally swim underwater. And if you remember, there was an area just at the very beginning of Summer Forest where it actually held a few gems and some pots that were floating underwater. Or just underwater in general. Let's make use of this ability and just dive, baby. And there's also a secret passage this way. One thing worth noting too is they completely flummoxed the swimming controls in Reignited Trilogy. So, how do I explain this? Well, it's kind of like ice physics are applied to underwater physics. How exactly do you screw that up? I have no idea. I hope they improve that in like a patch or something later. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see how things turn out. Anywho, now that we have the ability to swim underwater, we can actually progress further within this hub world and access more levels. However, there is still one other level we still need to take a look at. And now that we can actually swim underwater and everything, we should be able to fully complete the level no problem. So, that's pretty nice. Alright, next stop is going to be Idle Springs. Let's head on in. Ooh, 369. Filthy dragon. Nice.
Spyro, the idols we were carving have come to life. They've locked us out of our temples and stolen our food.
Sounds like something King DDD from the Kirby series would do. But yeah, apparently these wooden totems have come to life and are causing trouble. So it's up to us to, once again, save the day like we typically do. I mean, we're Spyro the frickin' Dragon, dang it. We got ourselves into this mess for a reason. It's kind of like fate, or shall I say, destiny. Okay, I'll stop now. Leave a like or let me know in the chat if you got the reference of what I was talking about. Heck, you may even need a bungee cord in order to figure out what I was talking about in the first place. Just saying. Anywho, we needed the ability to be able to dive underwater in order to get to this area right here. Believe it or not, this is where we can do a series of tasks in order to get another orb. So, let's begin.
I've been locked in here with all our tools, and the giant idol heads won't let the workers in unless we can solve the 3 puzzles they've given us.
Okay.
The first puzzle is to turn all these blocks yellow. If you have trouble, come back and talk to me.
Alright, that sounds like a simple enough task. So, we have 3 puzzles that we need to solve throughout the course of the level. And as we're going through the level, the puzzles will be different, and we can actually complete this task. Our first task, of course, is to turn all these blocks here yellow. So, in order to do this, we need to jump on these blocks a certain way. Okay. That was clearly not it. If you feel like that you screwed up majorly and you don't know how to undo what you've done, you can always talk to this guy here.
Jump on the block.
And if you feel like it's necessary to restart the puzzle, you can always say, yeah, just reset the puzzle.
Let's start over.
And after doing that, the puzzle just simply resets itself. So, that's pretty nice. Alright, let's try to figure this out. This should not be a very difficult task to complete. Again, you just need to jump on the right blocks in the right way, which we can do right here.
Wow, Spyro, you did it! I mean, I knew you could do it. Now, meet me at the pond for the next challenge.
Sure. Okay. Oddly enough, he's still standing in place. And he'll just magically teleport to the next challenge location, which is right here.
This idol says he's hungry and won't be satisfied until he's swallowed 10 fish. He's got a sensitive stomach, so watch what kind of fish you feed him.
Okay, sure. That sounds like a pretty easy enough task. So basically, what you have to feed him is blue and yellow fish. If you feed him any red fish, then the idol will puke his guts up and spit out a lot of fish. Thus, basically eliminating all forms of progress that you've made up to that point. So, that's something to keep in mind. Dang it. Okay, I believe there's a skill point that you can get for not feeding the idol any red fish. Then again, I think it was exclusively a trophy in the Reignited Trilogy. I'm not too sure, but regardless, I screwed it up again, god damn it. Sometimes I can be a little bit too trigger happy. But again, you just gotta watch the fish And make sure that you're burning the right colors. Anything red, do not burn at all. Just ignore them. And as this goes on more and more fish will pop out of the water more frequently. It's also wise to stay in your starting position and not move at all. That way, you have the best odds of shooting the fish into the idol's mouth. Because if you stand at an odd angle and try to feed the idol, then it's likely that you're going to end up making a mistake like that. And also, you may end up missing the idol altogether, which is a big no-no. Okay. Come on, give me another fish. Thank you. When I played through this game via the Reignited Trilogy, dang it, it didn't take me very long to complete the game 100%. It took a few play sessions, sure, but I see this game not taking very long either. Maybe I'll be able to get it done with like within 3 or 4 sessions. We'll see. Considering the fact that I finished the first game in like 2 recording sessions a few years back.
Okay, Spyro, just one more puzzle to go. I'll meet you over by the college stones for your final challenge.
Alright, sounds good to me. But anyway, as I was saying, since the first game only took me 2 recording sessions to complete a couple of years back, this game may not take very long either. That's the whole point of this. Hello there. That is the first instance of an enemy holding a metal-plated shield. Those enemies cannot be burned, so instead you must charge into them. Goodbye.
Those metal shields are making enemies invulnerable to your flame attack. You press and hold the square button. You can use them with their charge attack.
Alright. I was just explaining that not that long ago, so not a big deal and really kinda pointless. Well, not really. If this is the first time anyone's playing this game at all, then yeah, that's pretty useful advice to know. Hey, don't try burning enemies with metal shields. It's only going to result in death. At least death to you. Bye. Here we are. By the way, the composer for this game is Stephen Copeland from The Police. And he even recomposed the Reignited Trilogy's rearranged soundtrack, which is awesome. I think I also brought it up, he also composed for Spyro 1 as well. And if I did, great. If not, well, there you go. Bit of extra trivia.
To aim the camera left or right, press the L2 or R2 button.
And again, if you're playing in Reignited Trilogy, that does not apply. Instead, you must use the right analog stick. Of course, you can also, I believe you can change the controls in the Reignited Trilogy to reflect that of the original.
If you jump on these stones in the correct order, you will solve the puzzle. I only know what the first one is. It's up to you to figure the rest out.
And this puzzle is purely trial and error based. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Crud.
If you jump on these stones in the correct order, you will solve the puzzle.
I already know that. Dang it.
If you jump...
Shut up. If you're having some trouble completing tasks, One thing you can do to get through it much faster and not deal with those assholes who say, "Oh, you're having trouble with this?" over and over again? Turn off the voice acting until the task is done. Crud. Shut up. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, good. I think this is next. Dang it. By the way, if you want to skip through dialogue boxes more quickly, just mash the X button. It's that simple. There we go.
Nice job, Spyro. You're pretty smart for a dragon. All I have to give you is this shiny thing I found in our toolbox.
Well, whatever. At least it was worth the effort. That is for sure. Definitely like seeing that. By the way, I think in Reignited you can actually jump inside the toolbox, and really it's just a load of nothing. But hey, I'm just saying. Something else to keep in mind. Just for extra funsies, I guess. Okay. Let's move on. By the way, I do know that the Reignited Trilogy received a patch recently that added in subtitles to all 3 of the Spyro games, and it also fixed several bugs. Not the biggest bugs out there, but several bugs that were very annoying, I think. I know there were several bug fixes. I don't know which ones they were, but regardless, a new patch was released a few days ago when I'm live streaming this game, and I hear it made the game better. It made all 3 games better.
Spyro, you're pretty tough. If you ever want a permanent job, we've got a place for you here. For the moment, I want you to have this talisman.
Thanks for the job offer. However, we're gonna have to refuse. I'm a dragon. Hello? Not exactly, born around here, if you know what I mean. By the way, there's one more pretty interesting glitch that you can do in this game. It's a frame-perfect trick, but if you charge and jump on top of the enemy's head, so in other words, footstool them, you'll be able to gain a lot of extra height and be able to jump out of bounds. However, I think that trick is only exclusively available for a TAS, aka a tool-assisted superplay, or tool-assisted speedrun, and it's not really possible to do it via human interaction. Then again, maybe it is possible, it's just incredibly difficult to do. And as I mentioned, it is a frame-perfect trick. And when it's performed, it is quite a spectacle. It's one of those, I must go, my planet needs me kind of glitches. Speaking of glitches, I hear that the 3rd game in the Spyro Reignited Trilogy is the most broken out of all 3 games. Funny enough, it's actually true. And we'll cross that path when we eventually do that game. Right now, though, we have this one to do. Okay, so here we have a new power-up type. This is known as the Supercharge. If you guys remember back in Spyro 1, you can only do the Supercharge in certain places when the ground is lit up by arrows and attached to a hill. Well, that Supercharge ability is designated via here via the power-up station, and so long as you're holding the charge button, you'll supercharge infinitely. Dang it. Of course I would do that. There we go.
that idol like a Roman candle. Now I can pursue that dancing career I've dreamed of. Take this orb. It could help you go places.
Thanks, man. Anywho, you don't have to necessarily talk to this lady here in order to start this task. All you have to do is just charge into those idol statues via the supercharge, and there you go. The task is complete. And funny enough, this level only had 2 orbs, both of which we've already gotten, so that's pretty neat. Of course, we still have several gems to pick up too, including one within one of those container-like things. So, let's get to it. In order to get to this series of gems, we just have to traverse over a series of jumps and over top some hills here. Again, very simple to do, and it's also pretty easy to break this entire sequence into a million pieces if you find it necessary or fun to do so. Okay, let's go. When you're traversing over the roofs of these places as well as the hills here, keep in mind that be sure to rotate the camera as you're traversing the place. You may never know where you need to go to next. Alright. Cool. And I think there's some gems right down here. And there we go. Idle Springs is done. Ow. You know, it's funny. The wooden idol is sitting in front of a campfire. You know that can kill him basically instantaneously, right? Because he's made of wood. Alright. Well, with that, the first 2 levels are basically done. Minus Glimmer, of course. We still are going to be coming back to that level later on. Much later on. Speaking of which, I believe in the Reignited Trilogy, you can warp to any level that you've been to previously by opening up the guidebook and selecting the level and choosing to warp there. However, in the original game, you can't do that. You have to physically go back to the levels and go back to their portals. It's just one of those quality of life improvements that the Reignited Trilogy introduced. So, is the game better overall? Honestly, yes. The Reignited Trilogy is the best way of playing Spyro 2, and really Spyro 1 as well.
You're well on your way, Spyro. Keep collecting talismans to help us defeat Ripto before he can take over Avalar. Oh, and keep collecting those orbs, too. The professor thinks they will help you get back to the Dragon World.
Thanks for the tip. I'll be sure to keep that in mind as I continue to make my way through this game. Hello there, Mr. Butterfly. How are you? Okay. Hello there, Laura.
I saw something shiny at the top of the wall. You could probably get it, but you'll have to learn how to climb first.
Of course. And I believe we'll learn how to climb when we reach the second hub world. As far as I'm aware.
Are you enjoying the active camera mode? If you don't like it, I could set it back to the passive mode.
Okay.
Okay, I won't change it. Remember, you can change the camera mode yourself by using the options menu.
Very true. So, as I've mentioned before, towards the very beginning of the game. If you find Hunter here, he'll explain what passive mode and also active mode are when it comes to the camera controls. But again, you can always change them yourself in the options menu. And like, wait a minute, how did she get there? She was back in the previous room right next to a ladder, and I know she didn't move. Yeah, there she is, right there. So, what? What kind of mind trickery is this? It's witchcraft! She has the ability to teleport! Is she secretly a ninja?
Nice work, Spyro. The orbs you're carrying have activated this special portal. You won't find a talisman in the Ocean Speedway, but if you're fast, you'll get lots of treasure. Have fun.
Ooh, sounds fun. So, remember those Speedway levels from the first Spyro game? Well, they're back. And this time they also carry with them some new tasks. But as Alora said, there's not going to be any talismans involved. But it's entirely... it's very important to go through here anyway, so that way you can get some orbs. And trust me, we're going to need them all. Or as many as possible. Alright, welcome to Ocean Speedway. Ocean Speedway is the first of many Speedway levels in the game. And the best way of going about these levels is just to simply follow the path that is laid out before you. And I know there are plenty of people out there who can fully optimize the routing of these levels here. And go at these obstacles in any order that they see fit. You can do the same as well. And you can really get some great times by means of going through and busting down every single obstacle that comes in front of your path. Now, when it comes to these Speedway levels, just like with the first game, you have infinite flight. Dang it, how did I miss? Whatever. Let's just keep going. This is fine. However, if you end up crashing into the water, which that can happen very easily here, if that happens, then unfortunately, it's a fail, like that. You can't continue after you crash and burn. As you're going through and completing and As you're going through and completing each of these obstacles and conquering them all, you will be awarded gems for your troubles, just like within the first game. And for every one that you complete, you're awarded a certain number of gems. And if you completed those obstacles before, and you have to do it again by means of either going for a new record or by just completing the task itself, you won't get any additional gems from those obstacles that you previously completed. But if you go through... Speaking of which, I think I've completely screwed myself, so dang it. Somehow I missed one of those triangular archways. I don't even know how that happened. Could have swore I flew through them all. Guess not. Oh well. By the way, when it comes to the Reignited Trilogy of this game, the Reignited Trilogy introduced a couple of trophies that are tied to the Speedway challenges. So, the trophies themselves usually involve you having to complete some sort of arbitrary task, such as taking out a certain background obstacle that is completely out of your way. Those, you can just choose to not even worry about them until after you completed the course the first time through. Oh, come on. How did I miss? How did I miss? God damn it. These boats, man, I swear, sometimes they can be a really big pain in the butt to burn. Don't even think about trying to charge at them either. It's not gonna work. By the way, when it comes to the speedway levels in particular, not only do you have infinite super flight, but you also have the ability to use the supercharge as well. So that's very neat. And also very interesting as well. Because there are some obstacles that are best taken care of via supercharge rather than super flight. Why exactly? Well, it's faster to take out some of those ground obstacles that way, as opposed to flying. Because trust me, you're going to need as much time as possible. Thankfully, as you're going through and burning these obstacles over and over again, you'll gain additional time as you're going through it. Eventually, when you burn them all, also, burn. Burn the crowd. Seriously, do it. Oh my god, seriously. We'll have to finish the crowd off later. We don't have time, we gotta move. When it comes to dealing with these cars here, it's a good idea to go after them as you're going out around the course. However, when you're going at them and they're the last thing you need to do and take care of, just go in the opposite direction in which the cars are going and you'll get through them faster. New best time. Sweet. So now that we completed the course for the first time, we can choose to replay it again and try to go for a new record. But after we do that, however, a new task is available for us, which is hidden in the level. Here, our hidden task, in order to get another orb, is here.
I guess now you think you're pretty good. Well, let's see if you're as good as the current champion.
Ooh, sounds fun. Let's go.
Alright, Spyro. Meet the course champion. In order to win the race, you must fly through all the rings. Beware if Hunter flies through a ring first. The ring will start to shrink.
Okay. So, this isn't really much of a race, per se. It's more like a game of follow Hunter. As Hunter goes through the course, he will fly through the rings that you need to go through. The rings you need to go through are highlighted in green. However, as the course goes on, and... dang it. As time goes on and you get further and further into the course, it will become more and more difficult to follow Hunter, and if he gets too far away, then the race automatically ends in failure. Like this. Crap. And if the ring gets too small, then it's over.
Not as easy as we thought, is it? Are you ready to try again?
Of course I am. I never said it was easy to begin with. Alright, let's try this again. Again, if you lose Hunter, you might as well just jump into the water. Really. It's just really damn difficult to catch back up with him before the rings shrink to their smallest point, in which case it's literally impossible to continue. And even if you go through the ring first yourself, I think it'll count as a fail as well, because you went off course and flew through a checkpoint that you weren't supposed to. I have no idea for sure. But regardless, that is a thing. The course itself is not the most difficult thing in the world, really. Oh crap. However, most of the time, you're basically up Hunter's ass. So get a good look at that booty. That sweet, sweet booty. You're going to be staring at it a lot. And basically be at point-blank range all the time. And there we go. Course complete.
Great job, Spyro. That was some excellent flying.
Thank you. And there's the orb for the level. Bada bing, bada boom. We got all the gems for the level. We also got the orb as well for Ocean Speedway, and thus the level's complete. Let me check the guidebook just to be sure. By the way, if you want to return to the game, just push start at any time when you're viewing the guidebook, and it'll just close the guidebook and just return you to the game. So, despite the fact that we learned how to dive underwater not that long ago, we cannot fully complete Summer Forest, at least the hub area, but we can complete most levels. But, again, not all of them, because we're lacking certain abilities, which we'll have to come back and deal with later. Let's move on to the next level, Heracross, or Heracross, whatever. Onward to bigger and better things, I guess. Oh dear. Looks like we got quite a bit of trouble here that we need to deal with.
We've always had trouble with the gear grinders, but now they've set up force fields to separate us. If you can find diodes, you can use them to turn off the force fields.
Sure.
I think there's a diode around here somewhere, but my eyesight isn't what it used to be.
Fun fact, those guys are actually voiced by Tom Kenny as well. And best of all, he's voicing them in his SpongeBob voice. So, awesome. So we got SpongeBob before SpongeBob. That's funny and also sweet. Only thing that would make this even better is if we actually had Mr. Krabs. Granted, I think he is taking the form of Moneybags, but close enough. Close enough of a resemblance to classify him as such. Okay. Now then, this level. You may be wondering, why am I destroying those miniature windmill things? There's a reason. And the reason for it is very simple. I believe those things are tied to a task that you can complete in order to receive an orb. If you manage to find and destroy them all, then you'll get a reward. The rewards themselves are labeled as question marks, so you have to do a bit of exploring in order to figure out where it is that you have to go, what it is you have to do in order to complete the task at hand. So, really, the game rewards you for exploration, which is awesome. And now we've reached a point in the game where there's not going to be very many people who's going to be giving us advice anymore. And the rest of the game we just can figure out on our own. And I'm okay with that. Because honestly, I was kind of getting tired of the hand-holding thing anyway. Hello there, Mr. Robot. By the way, as I mentioned before, metal enemies or enemies with metal shields cannot be defeated via your flame. And the robots, of course, they're nothing but metal. And thus, you can only defeat them by means of charging into them. Funny enough, they just plain explode upon defeat. Which is pretty funny if you ask me. Also, another thing worth noting too, also crap. Get back here, thank you. Another thing worth noting too is, you see these gigantic windmills here? They're cracked, however we can't charge into them. Instead, what we need to do is utilize this power-up here. we require 18 souls in order to activate this thing. We have 14 up to this point. And how do you bring up power-ups again? I know in the Reignited Trilogy you just push triangle or L3 or R3 to do that. Oh, it's select in this game. Maybe it's the same thing there. Via the touchpad? I'm not sure. Regardless, though, let's continue. I'm not too sure if this game has a pretty big difficulty spike or not, but it certainly seems like it within the first few levels here. I mean, they're pretty easy enough. Don't get me wrong, it's just later points of the game, that's when things are going to get really hairy. And here I am trying to use the analog stick once again to reposition myself. Oh, hello. Dang it, dude! Why don't you die when I burn you, instead of just somehow magically surviving? Whatever. Thankfully, you don't have to worry about dying too much in the early game here. There are plenty of small enemies that you can burn and get your health back. However, there's... at later parts of the game, it's not going to be anywhere near as easy as it is now. Trust me. The difficulty curve can spike up really, really quickly if you're not careful. And just like that, we're already at the very end of the level. But of course, we're not done here yet. We still have some work to do.
Thank you, Spyro. You've deactivated all of the electric barriers. I've been guarding this talisman from the gear grinders. Please, take it as a reward.
Okay. Now that we have this world's talisman, we can just simply leave and be on our merry way. But as I've mentioned, of course, we're not done here yet. I'm not finished yet, folks. Not even close. By the way, Supercharge can destroy those big metal containers. Why is it that they can destroy them? Probably because you're hitting them with such excessive force. Which, that makes perfect sense. By the way, in order to fully utilize the Supercharge, as soon as you go through the gate, you have to hold down the charge button. Otherwise, if you let go, then you stop. And Supercharge is not like other power-ups in the game. You have to keep in mind that Supercharge is only active so long as you're holding the charge button. Funny enough, the Supercharge is a lot harder to use in Reignited Trilogy due to two major factors. One, the more realistic controls in the Reignited control scheme, and number two, the motion blur is a major problem in Reignited. Thankfully, that was addressed in the most recent patch. So, you have the ability to turn on or off motion blur at will. Though, from what I've heard, it doesn't shut off the motion blur completely, but it does significantly tone it down. Which, I'm very happy to hear about that. But, I just wish that was applied as soon as the game launched.
Spyro, you see that big building over there? The gear grinders are using it to steal our electricity. Please help us by shutting down the machinery inside.
Sure, that sounds like a pretty simple enough task. By the way, whenever you do receive a new task, it does tell you the difficulty of which it would take to complete the task. And this also is applied in the Reignited Trilogy as well, indicated by stars. The less number of stars that there are for a given task, the easier the task is. Though that doesn't necessarily fully reflect the task at hand in the task itself. Sometimes even the easiest tasks can be considered one of the most difficult things in the entire game. but most of the time the difficulty signification thing is very accurate. About 95% accurate. It just needs to be about 20% cooler. Okay, I'll shut up now. Okay. Hello there.
Spyro, you've done well so far. You can have this little trinket for good luck. If you
Alright, I did not mean to skip the rest of that dialogue, but whatever. Apparently, this is good enough for an orb.
The next glides get tricky. You'll have to use your hover maneuver to make them. Press the triangle button during a glide to hover and get extra height.
Okay.
Remember to press triangle when you are very close to the windmill, or you won't make it.
Alright, thanks. Now make me a Krabby Patty. In actuality, I'm not much of a burger person. I rarely eat any sort of burgers whatsoever. And if anything, I usually go for a cheeseburger. Or just a regular burger in general. I'm not into anything like onions or mayonnaise. Oh god, no. I really do not like mayonnaise. I'm also not a fan of lettuce either. Really, what makes a burger, about 60% of it and all of its ingredients are things I don't like. Kind of funny if you think about it, and yet I like burgers. There we go. Now then, I think there's a pathway here. Move. God damn it. Man, that sucked. Thankfully, for whatever reason, whenever we talk to NPCs and get certain important collectibles such as orbs from them, it marks a checkpoint. Dang it. I guess one thing you could do, if you want to get back to where you were previously more quickly, instead of going all the way around again, you could just intentionally throw yourself off the level and warp back to the previous checkpoint. However, I just recently marked a new checkpoint, and I'm going to have to take the long way around forever. Dang it. As you can see, timing on those platforms there can be a bit tricky. It can be kind of tricky, but they're really not that bad. You just have to time them properly. And by the way, the hover move just completely replaces the ability to just drop from Spyro 1. So you can't just drop instantaneously. Also, there was a whirlwind here. Of course there was. Dang it. Well, that was kind of anticlimactic. Okay. Dang it, man! I just tried to turn around and readjust myself on the frickin' blade. Instead, I fall. Why? That was bullcrap. Ugh. This isn't that hard. We just need to time it proper. And we also gotta have the patience of a saint. Really, we just have to be patient. Although I think it is possible to completely break this by means of doing that speedrunning technique of charging and doing a double jump. Again, not an intentional or intended way of getting through this, but if I knew how to do it, then this would be easier. Much easier. Because then I could use it as a means of getting extra height that I need in order to make longer glides possible. Just saying. Okay, let's get back over here. We'll try this again. And of course, these things are back now. Oh, that was close.
Spyro, help! The switch to turn off the gear grinder factory is in that room, but, it's awfully noisy in there.
You, okay, buddy? Well, that was easy.
Thanks for shutting down the factory. Here, I found this stuck between the gears. You can have it if you want.
Cool. Thanks, man. There we go. That's another orb down. Appears there's one more orb that we need to keep in mind. Let's look here. Yeah, there's one more. Where that is, I'm not 100% sure. Perhaps it has something to do with those wooden windmills that I... Oh, wait. Well, it looks like most of them are destroyed. That was really the only one I needed left to destroy in the first place. Okay then. Okay, Sparks, can you tell me where to go? Thankfully, you can still do every single action when you have Sparks pointing you in the direction of the gems. Just keep in mind, when you're charging, if you hit a small enemy, then he'll go after the butterflies. He'll prioritize them over pointing you towards treasure. Oh, right, here. Alright, well, at least we're done with that.
These gear grinder thieves keep taking our lightning stones. If you can replace them all and activate our generator, I'd be very grateful.
Sure, that sounds like a pretty simple enough task. Alright, so what we have to do here is we need to go around and pick up all these lightning stones and put them back in their proper places. However, this is not going to be an easy task, simply due to the fact that the lightning thieves are going to be running all around the place and stealing lightning orbs over and over and over again. So, in order to deal with them, what we have to do is essentially try to power up these machines with every single lightning orb that we find, and essentially lure the thieves up and have them come out. Have them come out of hiding, burn them, then reactivate the machines. There are 10 thieves in all, and again, they only come out when the machines are activated. So, that is something to keep in mind. And honestly, the best way of luring them out is just to go around the area over and over again and try to reactivate the machines. And as you're going about doing so, just hello. I did not know about this until just now. Apparently, whenever the machines are disrupted, in other words, the lightning orbs are stolen, the machines from the machines around here will just start going off and raising an alarm. They'll raise an alarm, and it's pretty dang loud. Hello there. Die. Like I mentioned before, there are 10 thieves that we need to hunt down and burn to a frickin' crisp. And again, best the best indicator of finding where the thieves are, power up the machines, listen for an alarm, and hunt them down. Here we go. Was I seeing right through his chest momentarily? It most certainly looked like it. Also, why is it that they're just simply running around like headless chickens? Don't they have some place to go in order to sell these things in the black market? I mean, they're thieves, dang it. Come on. Have some priorities, dude. Is it really that difficult to figure out your priorities? Wow, okay, apparently you can't really shoot these things from a distance worth a damn. I think it was also like this in Reignited Trilogy as well, so that is something to keep in mind. If you want to spit these things out, you can't shoot them very far. What do we got here? Hello there! Die. I said die. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thanks for getting rid of the gear grinder thieves. Now all you have to do is replace all the lightning stones.
Alright. That sounds like a simple enough task. Now that all the lightning thieves have been dealt with, we just need to reactivate the machines by simply replacing all the lightning stones right where they belong. Again, simple enough to do. We just need to find all the stones and put them back where they belong. What the hell? I heard an alarm go off, so usually that means that a thief is nearby. But how is that possible? All the thieves are dead. Eh. Whatever. There we go. Task done.
Thank you, Spyro. I found this shiny thing mixed up with our lightning stones. Please, take it as a reward.
Sure. Thanks, man. Highly appreciate it. And there we go. Level complete. Fully 100% complete. I like seeing that. Nice. Well, I'm glad everything worked out in the end. Oh, wow. 1666. We have the number of the beast right now. We can fix that, no problem. Regardless, pretty funny, if you think about it. Alright, let's head to the next level, Sunny Beach. Welcome to Sunny Beach. Nice. Way to turn the tables on them.
Hi, Spyro. It's a good thing you're here. If you can help shepherd those baby turtles over there to safety, I'll be mighty grateful.
Sure. That sounds like a simple enough task. But again, why aren't you doing that yourself? I mean, it's not like you can get off your lazy butt and just move a frickin' turtle. Really, it's not that difficult to do. It's not rocket science here. All you have to do is just burn the turtle and it'll move. And also, when it comes to this level in particular, unfortunately, this is another one of those levels that we cannot fully complete 100%, because there's a task of which we cannot access until we get the ability to climb ladders. Then again, there may be a way to get up to the area where there's a ladder at, but I'm not 100% sure if it's possible to do it via human input. Maybe with a well-placed super jump by means of jumping on top of the enemy's head, along with the charged double jump. Maybe it can work that way? Who knows? I'm not a speedrunner of this game, and I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really seen human speedrunners play through this game, really. So I have no idea of speedrunning strats that people typically employ. I thought I saw a gem over there. No, that's just the lights. At least it ain't Aurora Borealis. Okay. Hello there. By the way, now we're in a level where sometimes an enemy can take multiple hits to kill. Sometimes it usually involves destroying a piece of their armor or multiple pieces, and then you can burn them all the way to hell where they belong. But other than that though, this level's not that bad. And oddly enough, one of the most infamous tasks that you have to complete in the entire game, it becomes easier in the Reignited Trilogy. Looks like this is one of those places where we need the ability to climb ladders in order to progress. Well, that's kind of lame. Come on, go that way. Sometimes if one of these turtles are being uncooperative, also, those babies just went through the enemy. Do they not have any sort of collision? What the hell is up with these babies? Are they mutants? Who knows?
The water workers have boxed up most of our baby turtles. The boxes are incredibly strong. With a more powerful flame breath, maybe you could break them open and release the turtles.
That sounds like a pretty simple enough task. However, I have a feeling we won't be able to complete that one because, again, I think some of them are located via ladders that we can't climb yet. I'm not 100% sure. Then again, maybe it is possible with well-placed shots. So, what he's talking about is the Super Flame power-up is actually in this level. And this is the first level that uses the Super Flame power-up. Dang it. By the way, if you know how to do the charged double jump technique, you can sequence break that. And just jump over there, no problem, from here, or even from here. Well, not necessarily sequence breaking at its finest, but even so, still pretty neat to see. Okay. Again, if you had just a little bit of extra height, maybe. Ah, dang it. Yeah. Looks like Insomniac really thought about just about everything other than the whole double jump exploit. Just saying. Most stuff was thought of not without too much of a problem. Oh sweet, the Super Flame's now active. Let's use it. So, what does the Super Flame do? Well, as the name implies, it increases the firepower of your flame breath. And you can shoot it from a distance. So, it acts much like a projectile weapon, which is sweet. Also, the Super Flame looks way better here as opposed to the Reignited Trilogy. How does that make any sort of sense whatsoever? Well, since they were going with a bit of a more realistic aesthetic when it comes to this game, in the Reignited Trilogy, the Super Flame, for whatever reason, was also changed. Instead of being this big projectile fire breath, instead, it's just reduced to a spark condensed in a singular spear. Which, that is pretty neat that it's even possible to do something like that. But, hey, I'm not exactly the biggest game designer out there. So, it's something like the underwater spark thing, except, not. Speaking of, sparks... Speaking of spark, and firing underwater, as you can see, we can't use our flame breath underwater. Not unless we have the super flame active. The only way to shoot fire underwater is by means of the super flame. So, yeah, that's something that's definitely worth mentioning. By the way, if you want to reactivate a power-up again, just simply walk right back through a power-up portal. Alright, one box left to open. By the way, the Super Flame will also deal a lot more damage to enemies, and you can also use it to one-hit kill most enemies in the game. Dang it. Wow. Quite a distance, Sparks. Well done. Again, if this was reignited, then that would not be possible. He would not grab at that far of a range. Alright, let's try this again now. There we are.
Impressive, most impressive. Please take this secret, thingamajig as a token of our everlasting gratitude.
Sure. Thanks, man. Thank you for the orb. Thank you very much, my friend. And as we've seen not that long ago, we're near the very end of the level. No, seriously, we're that close to the end. Also, how hilarious how the turtles just simply don't react. Okay, let's head up here.
There's a chef at the top of this ladder who wants to make soup out of our baby turtles. If you know how to climb, you could get up there and stop him.
Funny enough, that chef up there is home to one of the most infamous things in the entire game. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're gonna have to learn how to climb in order to find out. Which is rather unfortunate that we have to wait so gosh diddly dang long before we can even start that task. Thankfully, when we do end up backtracking here, it won't be the worst thing ever. Go! Thank you! Jeez, man.
Thank you, young dragon. The baby turtles will be safe up here. Please take this talisman as a token of our gratitude.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Well, at this point, this is unfortunately where we have to step out of this level. This is basically all we can do for right now. We're gonna have to come back here later after we learn how to climb ladders and crap. That looks fun. I want to try that. Anyway, level complete. Mostly. But not 100% yet. We'll be doing that later. We still have quite a bit of work to do if we're going to fully complete the level 100% though. Oh, hello, Moneybags, you greedy little jerk.
Say, Spyro, you see this wall here? I bet you're dying to know what's on the other side. If only I had a few more gems, I might be able to remember how to lower the wall.
Just lower the damn wall, you jerk.
jog my memory.
Ass. Whatever. Paying him 400 gems just to lower this wall grants us access to another level that we need to go through in order to progress further into the game. Huh. For a second there, I thought the gem was going through the wall. I guess I imagined it. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Whatever. Let's not worry about it now. It's fine. Let's just continue. Okay, this is going to be interesting. As you can see, these switches here, we can charge them or breathe fire to open up one door, but it also closes another corresponding door. So what we have to do here is we need to close this door or keep it closed and do a very specific glide. Just like that. And we have yet another orb added to the collection. Up to 15 now. We still got a ways to go though before we're fully finished the game. Alright, let's head into the next level, Aquaria Towers. Wow, what an asshole.
The funny-looking guys with the shock sticks have drained all our water. We can't get it back unless someone activates the switches they're guarding.
Alright. Again, seems simple enough if I don't get zapped to death first. Dang it. Anyway, this is one of those levels where it mostly takes place underwater. Though, it's not entirely underwater, though. As you have seen just a few moments ago, most of the water here has been drained. So now we have to go through the entire level and restore all the water to its fullest water level capacity. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Again, very simple to do. Just go from one end of the level to another. Also, be sure to have at least 100 gems on you by the time you reach this point. Because I have a feeling that Moneybags is after our sweet, sweet money once more. Also, say hello to a new kind of enemy that we can't really deal with right now. These metal sharks. These metal sharks here are assholes. And if you get chomped by them, you instantly die, regardless of how much health you have left. Why is that exactly? Well, they're sharks. They're robotic sharks, and they defy physics and laws of nature. Bye-bye, crab. Oh, hi. Really? Couldn't breathe fire on the frickin' switch? Wow, that's kind of lame. Whatever. Not that big of a deal. Still, though, it does kind of boggle my mind how some switches you can breathe fire onto and be able to progress, but some of them you have to charge into with a headbutt. What the heck is that all about? That's kind of a BS if you ask me. Alright, let's continue our swim. How did I miss that guy? He won't be staying long. Bye! There we are. Hello, you.
Hi, Spyro. You must be tougher than you look to get here. All the same, you won't be able to get past the metal sharks up ahead. I suppose I could let you borrow my submarine, though. For a modest fee, of course.
Modest fee.
A pleasure doing business with you, Spyro. This submarine is 100% shark-proof. I guarantee it.
Yeah, let's put that to the test now, shall we? Hopefully we don't get ripped off and end up getting ripped to shreds. Well, I'll be. It actually is shark-proof. Neat. Of course, we'll be dealing with those metal sharks later. Not too much later, though. Because it looks as though the water level is now fully restored. But of course, we still have some work to do. And quite a lot of it, too. We still have several enemies that we need to kill. Funny enough, those metal sharks, they are enemies as well, which we need to kill. How are we going to go about killing them exactly? We can't exactly breathe fire underwater. Or can we? Dun dun dun! This is where the super flame will come into play. Which, a power-up of that will be around here somewhere.
Our world is wet again. We all want you to have this talisman of Aquaria Towers to remember us by.
Aw, how cute. Also, is that an inside dirty joke? It's wet. Again. Whatever. Let's grab this and go for a really, really fast swim. Well then, that's one way of destroying that. Okay, cool. Those metal sharks are dealt with basically forever. Mostly. Of course, just like with any other power-up, the super flame here is only temporary. And there are also additional metal sharks that we need to deal with too. Remember that little swimming hole that was crawling with 4 more metal sharks? Well, we're going to be heading over there next. Alright, let's go. Okay, how did I miss both of those things? There we are. I think that's all the metal sharks that we need to worry about. Keyword is I think. There might be more that I didn't take into account. Who knows? Also, you're free to use the submarine again at any time. But there's really no point in using the submarine again after you fill the water. After you fill the water up to its maximum height, there's really no reason to use it again. Unless you're playing through the level another time, like a second time through. Which, that can realistically happen if you aren't able to figure out what it is you need to do next, or if you're having trouble with a certain task. Also, now that the water is fully raised, we can now finally reach up here. By the way, I didn't point this out yet, but Spyro apparently has the ability to breathe underwater. Much like the Kongs in Donkey Kong 64. Why? Why is this possible? How is this possible? I have no frickin' clue. Regardless, it's a thing. It's a pretty weird thing, but I like it. It means we don't have to worry so much about an air meter or an air supply and keep that in mind forever. But hey, I'm just saying, it's still pretty interesting nonetheless. Oh, hello. Are we done yet when it comes to gems? We are never done. I'm kidding. We still have some work to do. Let's deal with you first.
The water workers have kidnapped 6 of my children and hidden them in the tops of these numbered towers. I borrowed some explosives to blast the doors off the towers.
Neat. Why don't you blast them all open at once?
If we can make it to the top of the 6 numbered towers, my children will be safe.
Okay. Well, that seems like a simple enough task. Funny enough, in the Reignited Trilogy, you can just damage boost your way through this. But I don't know if the same strategy can work with all the towers in the original game. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Be sure to follow the numbered towers from 1 to 6. I believe there are 6 towers in all. Remember where the next numbered tower is located, and you should be able to get through this task pretty easily. Also, it's harder to do this in the Reignited Trilogy due to the redone swimming controls, which they completely screwed up. Really. They're that bad. Here, they're definitely a lot better than they were in the Reignited Trilogy. I'll definitely say that. Also, there's a crab here. Kill him. But the thing! Okay, that was not where I was supposed to go. Here we go. Tower number 4. Once you get through the tower's electrical fields and their defense mechanisms, once you rescue the kids here within the tower, then the defense system completely shuts down. Why? Probably because there's no reason to keep them active when they're guarding absolutely nothing. That does make sense, but at the same time, they're still technically an intruder in there. And they still have to escape. Again, the game's logic doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, here's the next tower. Alright, time for tower number 6 after we deal with some crabs. I said deal. Get over here. There we go. Alright, now we need to search for tower number 6. Which, thankfully, shouldn't be too far off from our current position. Okay, I guess one thing I can go ahead and talk about today is I did recently inquire about my new chair of when it was being sent out. It should begin the shipping process today, so that's nice to know. There we go. That's the final one.
You did it. Now we can swim in peace. I heard that you were collecting these orbs. Please take this one.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much for the orb. Definitely need it. Considering all I've been through today. Getting completely intercepted, having my vacation completely canceled out and ruined. Yeah, it's definitely been one hell of a day. Now then, let's go on to the next one. Hello, Hunter. What are you up to?
I've been trying to tame my new pet manta ray, but he just won't obey me. Hey, you're just about the right size to ride on his back.
Ooh, let's go for a ride. Let's have some fun.
Hey, hop on his back and guide him through each of the rings of bubbles as it appears. And remember, he's brand new, so try not to get him dented or scratched up.
Hunter, you do realize that a manta ray is a living, breathing creature, right? And not made of metal. So that's not exactly possible, if you know what I mean. Whatever, Hunter. You're weird. Okay, so all we have to do in order to tame this manta ray here is just swim through the rings. The controls for the manta ray are very simple. Just move the analog stick and he'll go where you want him to go. Just keep in mind, he does have pretty sharp turning angles.
Well done. I suppose I owe you something for that. Here, take this orb. I found it in one of my flippers.
Neat. That's another one down.
Now that the manta ray's tame, I'd love to get him into racing shape. Care to take him through a harder course?
Sure, sounds fun.
Okay, good luck.
Great, let's go. Really, this harder course is not that difficult. You just have to be sure to keep in mind that if you are outpacing the seahorse, then it's very likely you're not going to be able to swim through the ring in time. And by the way, the ring only stays there for a short period of time. I think it only lasts about 3 seconds.
Incredible. You've got real talent. I could use a partner like you. You can have the orb I found in my other flipper, too.
Really? Where else are you storing orbs? Up your butt? Because that's what it certainly seems like to me. Storing them right up the butt. Finding them in his flippers, and I wonder if there's also 1 or 2 stored in his running shoes. That would be kind of hilarious if that was the case. Okay, where should we go next? Oh, hello. Okay, looks like there's some here. By the way, if you try to swim out too far, then you're stopped by an invisible wall. Why that is beyond me. I mean, it looks like a vast open ocean that you can just swim through, but no. Invisible walls are a major thing. And it's super annoying to deal with them. And there we go. Aquaria Towers is complete. Now I see a sharky. Oh no, I'm turning donkey. Hi. Karma is a jerk. Seriously, do not screw with Karma. Don't do it, man. It's not worth it.
Well done, Spyro. Now that you have 6 talismans, this door will open.
Great.
Okay, Spyro, jump through that hole in the floor to get down to Crush's dungeon. I'll help you by tossing sheep through the hole if I can catch them. Good luck.
Thank you. And with that, now that we have all 6 talismans of Summer Forest, we can now head into the first boss fight, which I am going to go ahead and do right now since there's really nothing else I can do at this point. So, let's end the Crush's dungeon! Whee! It's crushing time. Also, he's not properly framed for some reason.
Castle dungeon, Spyro. I thought that you might want to know how Ripto and his monsters arrived in Avalar. You see, last week in the winter tundra, the professor was working on some new super portal technology.
There. That's the last orb in place. Now let's see. All we need are some coordinates.
Yeah, how about 22475? That's my birthday.
That's pretty funny.
No, Hunter, don't!
What?
Get off! Get off me, you useless buffoons! Why can't either of you? Where are we? No dragons. Wonderful. Crush, go back and pack my bags. We're moving in. Say hello to your new king.
Professor!
smoke in my glasses.
They look perfectly fine to me.
Through the portal, you idiot!
To all your friends to take the orbs and scatter them throughout Avalar, quickly.
No! Go! Crush! Get the orbs now! No! You despicable little creature! I'll kill you!
This is bad news for Avalar. Hunter, why didn't you chase him?
Yeah, I would have gone after him. But didn't he say something about not liking dragons?
Professor, could we catch a dragon to help us?
Yes, I think so. We'll need a world that has an alignment much better suited to intercepting one of these creatures. How about Glimmer?
Good idea. We better go right now.
And that is how we entered the picture. And also how Ripto and his goons decide to invade Avalar. So, that's pretty interesting. Alright, so welcome to the first of 3 boss fights in the game. The first one is against Crush here. And in order to defeat him, all we have to do is just burn him just after he hits one of those switches here on the floor. And just dodge his attacks. Easy enough. By the way, the different switches that Crush walks on will signify the attacks that he'll do. The blue ones, for instance, they will just cause a shockwave. However, the red ones just shoot a straight-up projectile. And by the way, you can't just go and damage Crush right away. You have to wait until he deals one of his attacks. By the way, there is a skill point that you can earn throughout each of the boss fights. And the skill points that you can earn are just don't take any damage whatsoever when fighting the bosses. Ow. Funny enough, some of the bosses in this game are harder in the Reignited Trilogy than they are in the original. Why is that? I'm not 100% sure. Probably due to the new control scheme and how it works and everything. Who knows? Also, I'm surprised that even worked. Just barely managed to even get that hit in just before he started up his next attack pattern. I guess one thing you could do to help speed things along in the Reignited Trilogy and better dodge his attacks is by rolling. But you can't really do that here, unfortunately, so you kind of have to deal with the cards that you're dealt with within the original game.
No, Crush! You may have been able to defeat that simpleton, but Gulp will be more than a match for you.
Bring it on, Shorty.
Gulp, come here now! Destroy him, and make sure it's painful. What? The roof? Gulp, get me out of here! So long, dragon.
Well,
What a wuss.
well, that was easy. And with that, now that Crush has been defeated, we're now in the second of 3 worlds. Or hub worlds.
Not enough damage. All his meddling has cost me a fortune. If it wasn't for Spyro, I'd be bankrupt. If Ripto were here, I'd give him a piece of my mind. In fact, I'd give him a lot more than that. I was a champion bantamweight boxer at university, and I still know a few moves. Take that, and that. Ah, why you?
Well then. Looks like Autumn Plains has been taken over by Ripto. Not surprising in the least bit. But hey, at least this is the world where we can finally learn to climb, for Pete's sake. So that means we'll be able to complete more levels now and actually go back to some of the previous levels we've been through up to this point and finally complete them fully, which is sweet. Hello there.
Well done, Spyro. The power from your orbs has activated the whirlwind.
I don't even know how that's possible, but whatever. Video game logic. Video game logic at its finest, folks. Okay, so you may be wondering, where exactly can we go to learn how to climb ladders? Well, not here, technically.
Legend has it that there is a portal to Zephyr here, and legend also has it that I know how to activate it. Furthermore, as I recall, the legend mentioned something about me activating it for a small fee.
Small fee, my ass.
Thanks for the gems, Spyro. With all this cash, I can open a lizard burger shop in Skilo's Badlands.
That's pretty funny and also kind of statistic. Whatever. Now that that level is now open, we can go into Zephyr at any time. Anytime we dang well please. However, we're not going to be going there in this session. Heck, we're not even going to be going into any levels here in Autumn Plains. We are getting kind of close to the 3-hour mark. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to explore as much as I possibly can within this first part of Autumn Plains. And we're actually going to return to Summer Forest after we learn how to climb ladders. Which is pretty simple enough. And we're going to be doing so momentarily. First off, though, we do have some pots and stuff to destroy. It's also worth trying to run around and try to find everything that you can. You may never know what you may find. You may find an orb, or you may find some well-needed gems. And as you can see, we can return to Summer Forest right here at any time. There's also another portal which also grants us the same ability further into the hub world.
Well, I bet a rich dragon like you wouldn't mind cashing in a few gems to learn how to climb. I'd be willing to teach you for, say, I don't know, a small fee.
Small fee, my ass. 500 gems to learn how to climb a ladder. Are you kidding me? Well, whatever, here you go.
You won't regret it. Okay, when you see a wall surface that looks climbable, like the one to my left here, just jump onto it, and you will grab it with your claws. Use the D-pad to move up and down, and press jump again to get off. You can also jump sideways onto another climbable area.
Pretty neat, and also very simple. I don't know why we couldn't figure this out on our own, but alas, we can climb ladders now! And funny enough, in the Reignited Trilogy, you can also climb diagonally. But in the original, you can only climb in 4 separate directions, so either up or down, left or right. There's no in between, unfortunately. Okay. It's honestly not a bad idea to try and complete every single hub world that you can as you're exploring them. Because, again, they're levels within themselves, too. Hello there, Professor.
Oh, Spyro, hello. I was just having trouble with this door, and I think some orb power might unstick it. I see you've collected a good number of orbs there.
Neat. Well, thankfully we had more than enough orbs to open up the door. In fact, we have 18 of them up to this point. And you only need like 8 orbs in order to open the door. So, again, pretty neat. By the way, this area is pretty infamous because there's a wall here that you can break down. As far as which one that is, it's somewhere around here. It's one of these walls here. I'm not crazy.
I could let you into the little castle over there in exchange for a few gems. What do you say?
Whatever.
No one's been through that portal in years. I thought I'd never find a sucker. I mean, you're a shrewd customer, Spyro.
And you're also quite the businessman, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we did spend quite a lot of gems just to get to this point, but trust me, we'll be getting them all back at some point. It's just going to take a bit of time before we get them back. Anyway, let's continue our exploration here. Okay, there's the wall I was talking about earlier. But before we head over there, there's someplace else I want to go to first. And here we are.
I would love to let you enter the Speedway free of charge, Spyro. Love to. Unfortunately, the Speedway rules require me to charge a small fee.
Yeah, small fee, my butt.
You've chosen wisely. I bet a quick dragon like you will win your money back in no time.
To be honest, you're kind of right. But hey, at least the fee was actually kind of small this time around. I'm used to paying at least 400 plus gems out the frickin' ass just to be able to continue to make my way through the game. By the way, this crack in the wall, bust it down via charge. Really, do it. You'll thank me later. Funny enough, that wall is a lot harder to see in the Reignited Trilogy. Really, it was probably one of the last things I was able to find and figure out on my own when I was playing through the game via the Reignited Trilogy. Just simply due to the fact that the lighting engine is so much different, and seeing certain things was a lot more difficult than it is in the original. Why is that? I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, it's just more difficult to find. But it is in the same spot though, so it's not that bad. Still, it can be difficult to find the crack in the wall. Which is rather annoying, if you ask me. Alright, here we go. Time for another very long glide. And we're going to need to use this glide to get all the way over to this island over here. Trust me, we can only get here via the very, very top of the level there. We can't get there any other way. If we try to glide from over here on this wall, then unfortunately we're going to end up dying. And that would really, really suck. Even if you tried to glide from here, it wouldn't work. Trust me. It really wouldn't. Also, more cracks in the wall. Charge in. And here we are. Another orb has been found. Alright, what am I missing? Oh. There we go with the stick again. Alright, lead the way, Sparks. I'm gonna go ahead and try to finish up this level first before I head back to Autumn Plains. Although at this point we are at the 3-hour mark, so I think what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, instead of returning to Summer Forest like I originally planned, I'm instead going to go ahead and just try to finish up this hub world first. And then in the next session, we will be doing some backtracking and return to Summer Forest and finish the hub world up. And also backtrack to some of the levels we previously were not able to complete. Okay. So according to Sparks' radar indicator, I guess, there's still some gems up here that we missed. Or I missed, rather. Oops. I don't know if there's any way you can climb up ladders more quickly. There might be a way and I'm just completely unaware. I'm not too sure. But regardless, we still have some work to do. Okay, what else we got, Sparks? Hello. There we go. Autumn Plains is now complete. And just in time too, kind of. Anywho, like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and end things here for today. This is General Snivy with the Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage playthrough. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you were able to attend the live stream live, thank you for attending. Next time, we will be doing some backtracking through Summer Forest, collect all the remaining collectibles that we need to collect, and also complete some of the previous levels that we previously were not able to complete due to the fact that we weren't able to climb ladders. And we're also going to be starting up the levels here in Autumn Plains as well. So that's going to be a real fun time, let me tell you. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next session. Anywho, thank you all once again so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. And I will see you all next time for when we finish up Summer Forest completely 100%. And also start all the levels here in Autumn Plains. See you all then.